Welcome to the Wyoming Women's Business Center's 2021 webinar series. My name is Christine Langley, and I'm going to be your moderator today as we have a special guest speaker that I'll be introducing in a couple of minutes. Our topic today is Trademark Basics for Small Business. So you'll notice the Zoom webinar bar on the bottom or top of your screen, depending on how you have your computer oriented today. And I just want to call some quick attention to both the chat and the questions panel. I'll be monitoring both of those during our webinar. And so if you have any questions, I'd like you to use those two tabs to communicate with me. Everybody is muted on this session to minimize background noise. But again, I'm going to be monitoring that section, and we'll make sure that you get any questions answered at the end. So I'm going to start off with just some quick information about the Wyoming Women's Business Center, and then we'll dive into our topic today, Trademark Basics for Small Business, and like I said, finish with a Q&A. So for those of you that are not familiar with the Wyoming Women's Business Center, we are a nonprofit organization. We're a standalone organization, and our mission is to enable and empower Wyoming entrepreneurs. Of course, we have a special emphasis on women, and we do our work through three distinct programs. So the first is our business counseling and training program, which is always free. This webinar today represents that program that we run. The second program is our microloan program. And we actually offer loans anywhere from $500 all the way up to $50,000. And that's specifically for businesses that have been denied from a traditional lending source. And then the third is our Artist Development Center. And we run that in conjunction with our Works of Wyoming retail store in downtown Laramie. But what I really want to get across to you is that we specialize in micro enterprises. And so what is a micro enterprise? Well, it's a business that has less than 6 employees. The majority of these businesses are 1 or 2 person run businesses, and they were able to launch for under $35,000. So think of businesses like yoga studios and hairstylists, in-home daycare providers, marketing consultants, cleaning services, right? These are examples of our typical client. So if you're interested in becoming a Wyoming Women's Business Center client, you can go to our website at wyomingwomen.org, and right on the homepage, you can click that Sign Up Now button. It's an electronic application. It's simple, it's free, and it gives you access to all of the programs that we run with the Wyoming Women's Business Center, as well as an opportunity to receive one-on-one business counseling from a business counselor like myself, or our in-house business counselor, Jonathan Howdy-Shell. All right, without further ado, I want to introduce you all to Shelby Hughes of Hughes Legal LLC. Shelby is the founder and owner of Hughes Legal, and she focuses her practice on helping businesses protect their unique branding through trademark registrations. So in other words, she helps business owners who have, she helps them have the right, essentially, to use their notable business names, logos, and slogans on a nationwide basis. She's a lifetime Wyomingite. She was born and raised in the small town of Newcastle, Wyoming, and she went to school at UW, ultimately receiving her law degree from UW in 2018. So I want to welcome Shelby, and Shelby is going to take over the screen here and put up her presentation. And then we're going to start learning about Trademarks 101. So Shelby, welcome. We're happy to have you.
Thank you so much, Christine, so much for the introduction and for the opportunity to be here today. As she mentioned, my name is Shelby Hughes, and I'm a trademark attorney. I am so very happy to be here today to discuss some trademark basics with you. By the end of this, I hope you'll know what a trademark is and how it can benefit your small business. Just a quick overview of what we'll be discussing today. So we'll go over what intellectual property is and how a trademark fits under that umbrella. We'll go over some examples of trademarks, the trademark symbol, when you as a small business owner should start the trademark process, why small businesses need trademarks, and then as Christine mentioned, there will be a question and answer session at the end. So intellectual property refers to creations of the mind, and these creations have the ability to be protected by law. And so there are four general types of intellectual property: patents, copyrights, trademarks, and trade secrets. So each type of intellectual property protects different things, but today we'll just be going over what a trademark can protect. So trademarks are protection for your business or company's branding. So today when I say trademark, I want you to think brand. Trademarks are brand protection for names. So your business name, names of products you sell, in names of courses that you teach. It can be the name of a podcast. They can also be logos or symbols, slogans or taglines, sounds, domains, and even hashtags. So here in this slide, there are actually three examples of trademarks. There's a business name, a logo, and a slogan. So the name Nike is the business name, and it's protected by trademark. The little swoosh there is the logo for Nike, and it is also protected by trademark. And then lastly, just do it is the slogan, and Nike has trademarked that as well. So trademarks' main purpose are to serve as a source indicator. So when you see the Nike swoosh or the slogan, just do it, you immediately associate it with Nike and their products, and that is what a trademark is meant to do. So as I mentioned in an earlier slide, sounds can be protected by trademark law, and here is an example of one that's protected. So if there are any Star Wars fans listening today, you'll recognize that as Darth Vader's breathing. And because it's so notable, and when you hear that ominous breathing, you associate it with Star Wars, it has actually been trademarked. And some other examples of sounds that have been trademarked include MGM Lion's Roar, the Pillsbury Doughboys laugh, and even Tarzan's yell. As I mentioned before, domain names can actually be trademarked too. And this is an example of one that has been trademarked, Amazon.com. Some other ones are Walmart.com and Google.com. So, if you have a pretty big online presence, it makes sense to get your domain name trademarked. Hashtags can also be trademarked. So here's an example of one that Pepsi has trademarked. Hashtag say it with Pepsi. And, because social media is quite a big deal these days, the hashtag trademarks are becoming more and more important. And some other ones that have been trademarked are hashtag reach for peach, which is a distillery in California that has a peach brandy with peach liqueur that they have used for advertising purposes. Another one is hashtag they say, which has been trademarked by Allstate Insurance for their youth empowerment campaign. So those are some ways that you can use a hashtag as a trademark. Bringing it back to home here with some examples of federally registered trademarks for Wyoming businesses. We have Bonds Brewing. We have The World Needs More Cowboys. Here in Laramie, there's a brewery called Altitude Chop House and Brewery, and they have their business name trademarked. Altitude sells a beer called Tumbleweed, and they have the name of that beer trademarked. Accomplice Beer Company is trademarked. Also On the Hook. Chancey Williams has his name trademarked. So You can actually trademark your own name if you're using it as a brand. So if you're building a personal brand and you're, a celebrity, an artist, or an influencer, you can actually trademark your name. And then lastly, on the bottom left there is Pistol Pete, and he has been trademarked as well. Here on the screen is the trademark symbol, which is a circle R. And use of this symbol sends the announcement to the public that this is a registered trademark. So when your trademark is registered, you're then allowed to use the symbol next to your branding. So trademark owners are strongly encouraged to use this symbol next to their branding. However, companies don't always include this symbol next to their branding, which is why it's important that you do your research before you select a brand, because just because the R isn't next to it doesn't mean that it isn't a trademark. So in answer to the question of when you as small business owners should start the trademark process, it is start early, start now. So trademarks protect branding for both the goods and products that you sell and any services that you render. So you want to start the trademark process as early as possible. So after you've brainstormed, possible business names, logos, and before you've spent money on websites, graphics, marketing, social media, content creation, those kind of things, that is when you need to start the trademark process. So you do not really want to invest tons of money into your image or your brand until you check to make sure nobody else is doing the same or similar thing. So what I like to tell my trademark clients is to find your brand unicorn. You really want to think unique. Your goal here is to stand out from competitors. So the more unique your branding is, the better off you will be. And when it comes to trademarks, especially with naming your business, I like to discuss the difference between naming your business and naming your child. So when you name a child, it's a sentimental decision. For instance, pretend I wanted to name my daughter Ariel because I have loved the movie The Little Mermaid since I was a little girl. And I've been set on this name since, the first time I saw that movie. And, nobody anything says or does is going to change my mind. Well, it does not bode well to bring the same sentimental attitude to naming your business. When it comes to naming your business and then trademarking it, you want to pick a name that benefits your business and helps you stand out from your competitors. So, if you find out that your brand or your proposed business name conflicts with another brand, you really need to step back and reevaluate your branding and let those sentimental feelings go. There should be no commitment emotionally or financially until your branding has been cleared, meaning there's no conflict with other brands. So here's how the business plan should generally go. So you start out by brainstorming business names, coming up with potential logos. And you want to kind of go through a process of elimination based on uniqueness. So look for that brand unicorn that I mentioned. And then what you do next is you do your trademark clearance search and application. This is what comes next because you don't want to move on to steps 3 and 4 until you have made sure that your branding isn't conflicting with someone else's. So you can do the clearance search and start the application process before you register your business with the Secretary of State. And then that's when you move on to investing your business, with your websites, your graphics, your marketing, all of that good stuff to get your business known to the world. So So as you can see, it doesn't, a lot of people don't know that how early in the process you need to do the trademark clearance search. You can apply for your trademark before you even start using it. And so I recommend that, you include this in your business plan as early as possible. So, you're probably asking yourself, I'm just a small business owner. Why do I need a trademark? Well, there are two main reasons why you need a trademark. The first reason is you want to protect your brand. Businesses work really hard to create and develop a brand and an image. It takes a lot of time and money, and you really want to keep others from using and profiting off of your brand. So you also cannot go after somebody else for using your brand without your permission, which is called infringement, unless it's actually registered. And one way you can enforce those rights is by use of a cease and desist letter, which you send to businesses using your branding without your permission, asking them to stop using the brand or you will seek legal action. So here's an example of a Wyoming business with a federal trademark that is famous for sending cease and desist letters. So believe it or not, Wyoming's own Taco John's has trademarked the phrase Taco Tuesday. And they have sent hundreds of cease and desist letters to other companies demanding that they stop holding Taco Tuesdays. And one example of this is they're in Cheyenne. There's a brewery called Freedom's Edge Brewing, and it's located about 4 or 5 blocks down the street from Taco John's main headquarters. So they were using the term Taco Tuesday to advertise for a taco truck that parked outside its establishment once a week, and I'm sure you can guess what day that was. So Taco John's actually sent them a cease and desist letter asking them to stop using Taco Tuesday. And this is a copy of the letter that was sent to them. And this can be found on Freedom's Edge Brewing Company's Facebook page because, they were quite taken aback when they received this letter, I think because it came from a fellow Wyomingite. And, Taco Tuesday seems like such a popular phrase, how can it possibly be trademarked? But it is, and it has been trademarked since December 1989. So this letter basically says, hey, Freedom's Edge, I noticed you were using Taco Tuesday. Please stop using it. We need to protect our brand's integrity. Please don't use it anymore. So because of all the media attention that Taco John's was getting from sending all of these cease and desist letters, the chief marketing director of Taco John's actually issued a statement in response. And this is one little part of it. Great ideas can come from the most unexpected places. And when they do, we should protect it. And, that's exactly right, because if you spend a lot of time and money on building a unique brand, you shouldn't be shy at all about protecting it. And, the message here is, if Taco John's can do this, build a great brand and protect it, so can you. The second reason why small businesses need a trademark is so that you don't infringe on somebody else. You don't want to get in trouble before you even start your business, or even worse, several years into business. So it'll cost you way more to rebrand or deal with a lawsuit later on than it will to make sure you're not infringing on someone from the get-go. So, failure to do this thorough preliminary search has costly consequences. So I want you to think of a trademark search as an X-ray before a surgery. You need to, see what's going on before you make a cut. So I've gotten permission from a couple Wyoming businesses to share their rebranding stories. And the first one here I have is Hinge Studio Marketing and Communications. So they received, a couple years in a business, they received a cease and desist letter from another business on the East Coast who had already trademarked the business name Hinge Studio. And so they had to rebrand their business to Loom Studio. And so the statement they issued on this is the following. Our transition from Hinge Studio to Loom Studio is part of our greater strategy to ignite purposeful, bold brands, those we serve and our own. Loom, from the Latin lumen, light, reflects our business approach. So, the moral of this story here is that if they would have done a thorough clearance search at the very beginning, they could have avoided this rebranding later on, the time and the money that it takes. But one positive outcome of this is they did end up with a way more unique brand. So you can see that they put a lot of thought into renaming it to Loom Studio. And if you're interested in reading the full statement, it's on their blog on their website. So feel free to take a look at that. Here's another example of a Wyoming business that had to rebrand. And so Star Trim's Pro Wraps was an auto detailing and vinyl wrap business here in Wyoming. And they received a cease and desist letter from a business in California who had trademarked the name Pro Wraps. And so they had to drop the Pro Wraps part, and they just switched it to and rebranded to Star Trims. And so again, they wouldn't have had to go through all the time and money and effort that it takes to rebrand if they would have done the search clearance at the very beginning. And so we really want businesses to avoid this. If there's no reason that you should have to go through this and spend all the time and money it takes if you do a preliminary search. So a word to the wise. If you do receive a cease and desist letter, please do not ignore it. A lot of times cease and desist letters are being sent by email, and people receive them and think they're junk mail and immediately delete them. Well, the thing is, sometimes they are junk and sometimes they're not, but you really have to look into it and, contact a trademark attorney and have them do some research to verify if it is junk or it isn't. So, if it's not legitimate, that's great. You'll have peace of mind and you can move on with your business. If it is legitimate, you can get on top of it and address the problem as soon as possible before it turns into litigation. So here I have an example of when a small business benefited from a trademark. So here we have Kim Kardashian, and if you guys like keeping up with the Kardashians, and actually that phrase is trademarked as well. So Kim filed a trademark application for her new beauty brand, and the name she picked was SKKN. And she ended up receiving a cease and desist letter from a small business who had already trademarked the phrase, the business name SKKN plus. So the only difference between Kim's proposed trademark and the registered trademark is a plus sign. So Kim here has, two choices here. She can rebrand her beauty brand and come up with a new name, or what will likely happen is she will pay this small business a good sum of money to kind of let this issue go so that she can use this trademark. Either way, the small business benefits because the small business can either, one, keep their unique brand, or two, receive money for letting it go. So either way, you benefit from having it. Here's another example of when a small business benefited from a trademark. So here we have a small cafe that sued Starbucks. This small cafe had a trademark application pending for the unicorn latte. And during this time, Starbucks released the unicorn frappuccino. And I don't know if you guys remember this or not, but it's kind of just a month-long promotional item, and it never became part of their permanent menu. So this cafe sued Starbucks for trademark infringement, claiming that the color-changing unicorn frappuccino overshadowed the smaller company's unicorn latte. So the result here was a settlement. Starbucks paid this small cafe a lot of money to kind of drop this infringement suit. So the small business benefited from this trademark by receiving money when Starbucks failed to do their research and used the small cafe's branding without permission. And so, believe it or not, the small guys do actually win in the trademark world, and this is why you as a small business need a trademark. So let's discuss now how you can get started today with the trademark process. So you're going to want to check your branding and make sure no one else is using it. I can't stress enough, the earlier the better. So first and foremost, you can kind of do a cursory surface level search on your own. And so what you can do is you can do a Google search for, the business name you're thinking of using, see what is out there and if there are any direct conflicts. You can set up a Google alert with the name or slogan you're thinking of using, and every time it pops up in the news, you'll get an email from Google about it. You can also do kind of a basic search on the United States Patent and Trademark Office website. And, this will kind of give you any exact matches for the trademark you're thinking of using. But one thing to note here is that this first step, this cursory level search, does not give you complete clearance. These searches will just give you the super obvious red flags that are out there. So, it's worth doing though. So if you do this trademark search yourself, you're only going to be able to find identical matches in the software that's available online. So after you do this first step yourself, you'll need to move on to step 2, which is a complete extensive search, and you'll need to contact a trademark attorney for this step. And if you hire an attorney to do the search, they'll be able to look for phonetically similar marks, marks that have a similar meaning, marks that are even spelled just slightly differently. There's a lot of software tools that attorneys have that just aren't out there and available for public use. So while it does seem extremely self-serving to stand up here and say you should hire an attorney for your trademark search, you really should hire a trademark attorney to help you with the trademark search, because they're going to be able to do a lot more than you can do yourself, and hopefully save you a lot of time and money by identifying any problems before you ever file a trademark application. So, in conclusion here, the message is you want to protect your brand. Without a trademark, you cannot successfully grow your business or protect your brand. And every size of business deserves and needs brand protection. Your brand is your most valuable asset, because it's why customers buy products from you and why clients sign with you for your services. Okay, so now we're on to the question and answer session. So Christine, I'll let you jump on here.
Okay, that's great. And we do have a couple of questions that came in while you were talking. The first one is, what is the difference between the R and the TM symbols that you see behind logos?
So the R is for registered trademarks. The TM is for branding that a company is holding out as a trademark, but it hasn't been registered yet. So maybe they filed an application, but it's not registered yet, or they're just kind of letting people know that they're using it as a trademark, but they don't have the same rights and protections as those brandings with the circle R next to it.
Oh, interesting. All right. So some are like getting ready to be registered maybe, and so they're just throwing a flag out saying, we're planning on registering this. And so that's why we're saying it's a TM.
Yes, some are planning to register. Some, I think a lot of people don't completely understand the difference, so they use it without really knowing what it means. So yeah, it could be either one of those situations.
Okay. All right. Thanks. That makes a lot of sense. What's the difference between protections for a trademark and a copyright?
Okay, so copyrights are for sort of so songs, kind of songs, books, kind of longer works. When it comes to trademarks, it's really short things that are related to your brand. So, for instance, if we're going back to sounds, so Darth Vader's breathing, it's a very short snippet, and it's trademarked because it's short and it relates to the brand. But for instance, you cannot trademark a whole, say the Star Wars theme song. That's copyrighted, not trademarked. So it's just a different kind of protection, and mostly copyrights pertain to, books, music, those kind of things. It's just a different kind of intellectual property.
Kind of longer works of art.
Yes.
Okay. And then I think we already answered this question, how do you search for national and international trademarks? And you said you can you can search yourself via Google and go to the United States Patent Trademark Office website and enter into their search engine. But for a more extensive search, you may need to dig a little deeper. I've got another question about the UW, the University of Wyoming, and they're offering for a free trademark search. Do you know the difference between using that free service versus hiring a trademark attorney?
I'm not actually aware of that service, but if it's free, you get what you pay for, and it's probably not going to be super in depth or comprehensive enough to clear your brand.
Okay. And I can certainly reach out to them and find out, what their service entails and how that might be different and follow up. Another question is there a general budget amount that you can advise for trademark research and then following through to the application? What should people be budgeting in their business plan for this?
Yeah, so the cost of it will vary from attorney to attorney. For me personally, there are two stages in the process. There's the search clearance stage and the application stage. And so the first stage will cost anywhere from $500 to $800, depending on the complexity. And the second stage is the same, $500 to $800 set for one application. And I like to mirror the cost. So, if I charge you $600, that's also what you'll be charged for the application stage. And one important thing to note, when you're looking for a trademark attorney, you want to find someone who's a good fit that, understands what you're looking for. And, so it's kind of like when you're looking for a therapist, you want to find someone who understands you and vice versa. So those are my general costs. So on the low end, it's $1,000 total from start to finish. On the high end, it's $1,600.
Okay. Do you have any knowledge? I don't know if you would have knowledge about this or not, but do you have any, this is another question. Do you have any knowledge about using LegalZoom for trademarks or as a trademark attorney, LegalZoom services?
Yeah, so yes, LegalZoom is out there, of course, but they have such a big volume of people using that service that they can't possibly provide you with the value and extensive search that you need in the end. And a lot of times, it isn't even attorneys who are doing it. And one thing when it comes to me as a trademark attorney is, this is all I do. I only do trademark law, and so I'm a specialist and have a lot of experience in this area. And someone on LegalZoom may not necessarily have that same experience.
All right, makes sense. I'm just going to flip over and share my screen again. Hang on just a second. We'll see if any additional questions come through here, Shelby. This is my contact information, guys, at the Wyoming Women's Business Center on your bottom left. And then Jonathan Howdyshell, our one-on-one business counselor, if you'd like to connect with either one of us on this topic or other topics that we cover at the Wyoming Women's Business Center. And then our funding partners, just want to quickly recognize the SBA as well as the Wyoming Business Council. They're our primary partners in funding so that we can offer this type of content to you at no charge. So a big shout out to them. We've got some upcoming trainings here. Next week, I'll be covering 7 options to access money for your small business. On the 21st, we'll have Artist Insights, building your shop small campaign. And then on the 26th, if you're ready to start a business and want to know the steps involved in starting a business, you can join me for that webinar on the 26th. Again, all of our webinars are our traditional 30-minute format. All right, I'm just going to check my questions panel one more time. It says, where or who are UW? So again, I'll work on that information and try and include that in my recap follow-up email. All of our webinars are recorded and provided on our YouTube channel. So anyone that didn't make it with us today during our live session can watch that recording, and I'll send out that recorded link along with any follow-up information I was able to find on some of these questions this afternoon. So thanks again, everybody, for joining us. If you want to stay on the line when we close this webinar, there'll just be a brief survey. We do read every single survey and appreciate your participation. So again, thanks so much, Shelby, for joining us today. We appreciate your expertise. And I just have a few more questions here. Is there a future webinar for people who have a small business who might be considering starting a second one? Sure, absolutely. And I'll reach out to you directly, Christy, with that question. Okay, and a couple thank yous. So again, Shelby, thanks for joining us, and I hope everybody has a great week.
Thanks for having me.
You bet. Bye-bye.